Here with you, doing my Live with Tony on Monday evening. And welcome to NCAA March Madness. I've been watching the games over the weekend, and a couple of them that we've had here this afternoon, and not doing too well in my brackets, but you know what? It's been fun watching the games, and they're moving along, and there's a whole bunch of them this evening, though I'll be doing later this evening for a university out in California on a topic I'll touch a little bit later. But I wanted to cover the results of our team meeting that we had this past Friday evening. And we're moving along with the USA Memory Championship in the year 2021. We're still challenged by the COVID and whether or not we will do a live final event, but we are going to go virtual with our preliminary event, and we're looking at the end of June to do that. We're looking to finalize dates with all of the people that we need to support that, and so once we get that done, then we'll lock that date in, but right now it's looking like it's going to be at the end of June. And we plan to have 5 events that will be a mix of games that we utilized in 2020, as well as some new activities that I'm holding on to just yet till we get all the parties agreeing to what we're doing. But we'll have 5 events. We'll do it on a Saturday afternoon, and we should be getting registration going by the early part of April. It's interesting until you are a part of the discussions and what has to happen and when it has to happen. Most people, by the time the finished product is done, are just amazed at how well it all comes together. But until you are part of the weekly conversations and the work that needs to be done and the approvals that need to be gained and the parties that are involved all agreeing to what has to happen, it's work. And I'm glad we have a team of people around it that are all committed and passionate and enthused about having it again. And that's exciting. So Lumosity will be back sponsoring our 2021 event, which is just exciting to have them be a part of it. MIT will be a part of it again this year. So we've got Lumosity and MIT. And then, of course, my own team of people, Michael Dottino, who runs the Maximum Memory Mastery online course, which has really been a really great course if people want to become mental athletes as well as they just want to improve their how did we comprehend and improve our memory. And then, of course, the woman that pulls it all together is Karen Pinson, who organizes the games and the registrations and all the regulations that need to go out to mental athletes, and then gets the registrations in and has to make sure everybody's logged in and filed. And so she puts in a tremendous amount of sweat equity into this and heart and soul into making an event as seamless as possible so everything comes together. So we at least are now at the point where we know what our 5 events are, and we're just going back to some of our partners that we'll have this year to just get their commitment to the date that we've got and the events and chosen. And it'll be a good mix. So it'll be a good mix of skills, and obviously we're not going live on the preliminary. So in our qualifying events, what we'll do is have a number of people, and we're looking to bring 12 people into the September-October time period, and we may bring them here. We see the pandemic going in cities and locations, so we talked about several different locations of possibly bringing all of the finalists, which we are expecting somewhere between 12, 13, 14 finalists, into one location, and therefore it will be restricted. There'll be no audience unless it's the relatives of the people that are participating. And we'll follow what we're seeing that the NBA did last year and what the NCAA has done, which is we'll try to put some dome over it and be safe based on where we're going. We're not sure that everything would be organized to have spectators come into it. So we're still being very proactive in moving forward and not having a crystal ball that tells us if we'll have another variant that impacts our showing. I know in watching TV today, I watched this craziness going on in Miami with spring break, and it's like everybody got out of the cage, so to speak, that we had put on ourselves for quarantining, and it just flooded the streets of Miami. So we're not sure, as we have our discussions on this on Friday, that everything will be safe and everything will be open to social interactions. Vaccines look like they're going to be done. But these are all of the things, not only just putting the event together and what the competition will look like and how we get registration out and how we get the files and set up and all of it organized to have a seamless event, but then projecting. So now we go from the qualifying, which we think we now have gotten the ball moving on, but then what are we telling people that sign up for this if you get into the final 12 people, or it may be a couple more than that, but the final 12, I'll use that for now. What do you have to expect to be able to do? And are we going to do that virtually, similar to what we did last year, or are we going to do this in one location that we view somewhere that's safe and isn't in one of the hot spots? And boy, God, we're talking September, October, and we're like, geez, this is March already, and the virus is still keeping people restrictive in where they can go and how long they can go there and how they'll get there and whether we're going to fly and do we have masks. So there's so many unknowns to this. We would have hoped by now that some of this would be a little bit more definitive, but it's not. And so we'll deal with it. I mean, if we had control over it, obviously it would be a lot easier to say, okay, assign somebody to this particular task of the variants of the COVID-19 and assign somebody to deal with what masking and regulations and vaccines and stuff. But that's all of the public domain of the different states and where people might come. The most important thing to me right now is getting registration out by the early part of April, letting people decide who would like to at least to have some fun and participate in the qualifying events, which we will do virtually at the end of June. And at least then, if we go from there to see what we've got, we have July, August, and most of September for mental athletes that go into the finals to be able to then at least practice, get their routines down, study what they want to study, utilize different skills that they're honing for the championship, and then we'll move that forward. And right now it's kind of a jump ball. It clearly will not be a spectator event, but the suggestion came up in our meeting on Friday. If there's a safe location somewhere to send people to they'd like to rather do this live, then could we study that, look at what the elements of that would be, find a location that would at least welcome us to do that, and then at least bring the finalists into a common area, which then would allow us to do the live events similar to what we did at MIT in our 18th event. So, in our 20th event in the year 2018. So that's the status of where we are. I'm delighted that we've got people who are engaged, that using what's up in here, we're making progress and making some decisions on what has to be done. And we're looking at the registration forms and making sure that all of the appropriate legal aspects of it are covered. And we should have that done within the next week. And therefore, what's the announcement going to be, and what's the right proper registration? So we ought to have that done by the 1st of April. I think those are the key things that I want to at least cover coming off our Friday meeting. If anybody has got any questions or points that you would like to get back, I prefer you get quicker to me on a.tino@aol.com. That's ADOTTINO@AOL. I'm much quicker in looking at that multiple times during the day, and therefore any notifications that come in, I can jump on them like much quicker than if they come through Facebook, which I'm still, this is me now, I'm still challenged by when I get notifications and how do I respond through Facebook. And yes, I'm a senior citizen who has not learned how to properly use Facebook other than my Life with Tony's, and I do see notifications that come in, but I'm not good at how do I respond to these things. So it drives me crazy. Do I respond when I do to everybody, or does it just come into an individual that sends me a request or a note? So I prefer to go through dottino@aol.com. I have the ability to personalize any questions that anybody may ask, and then learn from that, and then broadcast it out if it's appropriate for everybody interested in competing in our next USA Memory Championship, which will be done virtually again. So that's the status of where we are. Back now, Wednesday, I'm due to go have a regular checkup procedure that's going to require me to be under anesthesia for a bit. I would hope by the evening, since it's an early morning procedure, I'm going to be back up there with you in the 5 o'clock hour. But in the event you do not see me on Wednesday, do not be alarmed. I will be back by Friday and doing my Friday evening broadcast, which is usually done somewhere around the hours that we're having our team meetings on the Memory Championship. So I really want to thank my Live with Tony team that listens to my broadcast. Appreciate my flexibility in getting these. And if you don't catch me live, then go back to the videos, and I'm trying to do a better job in putting descriptions on that, and therefore you have the opportunity of listening to my videos if you're not hearing me live. So with that, everybody have a good evening. I know it's got a load of NCAA basketball games. I hope your teams are doing better than the ones that I've picked in my brackets. I almost, if I would have known what I know now, when I picked the brackets, I'd be doing super well, because a lot of the teams I was picking to win have all lost. So it's not been a good prospect in that regard, but it's been fun. It's been enjoyable watching something a little bit different on television, and I'm hoping the baseball season has a safe journey as they begin looking at baseball games in April. So have a good evening, and we'll see you later, maybe Wednesday if all goes well. I would hope so, and if